Hey everybody, this is your narrator again, Adnan, and I hope you liked the previous story. And without wasting definitely any time, I'm gonna straight jump into my laptop screen to narrate another story. I didn't lose my wife tonight, Ethan Cole said, his voice slow and steady. I lost the lie I was living in. The wine glass in his hand did not shake, but the room did. 2 hours earlier, Ethan had been sitting in his car outside his own house, staring at the photo on his phone. Olivia's laugh was frozen in that image. She was leaning close to Grant Turner at a hotel bar across town, too close. The kind of close that married people recognize instantly, the kind that hurts without making a sound. Inside the house, the lights were warm, soft yellow, the same lights Olivia once said made their home feel like a safe place. Ethan walked in quietly. Olivia was in the kitchen, humming. She wore the blue dress he loved, the one she wore on their anniversary last year. He remembered how she had looked at him that night, candlelight in her eyes. Back then, she had whispered, "You're my always." Now she looked up and smiled. "You're home early." Ethan placed his keys on the counter. Traffic was light. So was the trust. But he didn't say that. They stood there in silence. The air between them felt thick. Finally, Ethan pulled out his phone and slid it across the counter. Olivia's smile faded. She didn't ask where he got it. She didn't ask if it was edited. She simply closed her eyes. "It's not what you think," she whispered. Ethan gave a smile, tired smile. That line should come with a refund policy. She looked at him then, really looked at him, for the first time in months. "It was a mistake," she said. "No," Ethan replied gently. "A mistake is forgetting milk. This was planning." Her shoulders fell. They had once been the couple others admired. Sunday morning coffee in bed, late night talks about dreams, slow dancing in the kitchen with no music playing. Olivia used to trace her fingers along Ethan's arm and say, "You feel like home." And Ethan believed her. "Do you love him?" Ethan asked quietly. Olivia hesitated, and that hesitation said more than words. "It's complicated." Ethan nodded slowly. "Love isn't complicated. Lies are." Later that week, there was a small private dinner at Grant Turner's house. Business partners, close friends, laughter, music, expensive wine. Ethan went, not because he wanted drama, because he wanted truth. Grant greeted him at the door with a wide grin. "Ethan, glad you made it." His handshake was firm, confident, almost amused. Rachel Turner stood behind him, calm, polite, observing everything. Dinner was smooth at first, polite talk, business jokes, stories about the market trends. Then Grant raised his glass. "To partnership," he said, glancing briefly at Olivia. Ethan stood slowly. "Yes," Ethan said, "to partnership." The room grew still. Olivia's fingers tightened around her napkin. Grant smirked slightly. "Everything all right, Ethan?" Ethan looked at him, not angry, not loud, just clear. "I think you should tell your wife about your partnership," Ethan said. A fork dropped somewhere down the table. Grant leaned back in his chair and laughed. "Oh, come on," Grant said. "We're adults here. Let's not make this dramatic." Rachel's eyes shifted slightly, just slightly. "It was a bit of fun," Grant added casually. "No need to act like the world ended." Ethan tilted his head. "Funny, I didn't realize marriage came with a comedy section." A few nervous chuckles floated around the table. Grant waved his hand. "It meant nothing. Sometimes people just connect." "Yes," Ethan replied calmly. "Hotel rooms do encourage connections." Silence. Olivia looked like she might cry.
Grant's smile thinned. You're overreacting. Ethan gave a small shrug. Maybe. Or maybe I just read receipts better than jokes. Rachel finally spoke, her voice soft but steady. What receipts? Grant glanced at her quickly. It's nothing. Rachel held his gaze for a moment longer than comfortable. Is it? Grant forced a laugh. Sweetheart, don't start. Ethan noticed something then. Rachel was not shocked. She was measuring. The dinner ended awkwardly. Conversations broke into whispers. Olivia left already. Grant poured himself another drink. Outside, the night air was cool. Olivia caught up to Ethan near his car. Why did you have to humiliate him? She demanded. Ethan looked at her gently. I didn't humiliate him. I removed the curtain. Tears filled her eyes. You're acting so calm. Don't you care? Ethan stepped closer, his voice soft. I care enough not to scream. He brushed a strand of hair away from her face out of habit. The touch lingered a second too long. The memory of who they used to be hung between them. I loved you fully, he said quietly. That's why this hurts quietly. She reached for his hand, but he stepped back. At the front door of the house, Rachel stood alone for a moment, watching the driveway. Grant came up behind her. He's being dramatic. Rachel gave a faint smile. Maybe. Grant kissed her cheek lightly. You know, I'd never risk anything serious. Her smile did not reach her eyes. I hope not, she said softly. But later that night, when Grant fell asleep, Rachel opened her laptop and began typing because jokes are funny until someone checks the bill. And Ethan, driving home alone, felt something shift inside him. Not rage, not revenge, release. Sometimes the strongest move a man can make is stepping aside and letting the truth walk in on its own. And tonight, truth had just knocked. When love turns into a joke, the punchline is never funny. Rachel Turner did not cry that night. She did not scream. She did not wake Grant. She simply watched him sleep. The man beside her looked peaceful, calm, almost innocent. One arm stretched across the bed like he owned the world. Rachel lay on her side, eyes open in the dark. Earlier that evening, when Ethan had said the word receipts, she noticed something small, a flicker in Grant's eyes. Not guilt, fear. And fear does not come from romance, it comes from exposure. By morning, Rachel had already made 3 calls. The first was to private investigator. The second was to forensic accountant named Michael Barrett. The third was to her lawyer. She did not accuse, she did not explain much. She simply said, I need numbers checked quietly. Michael Barrett met her 2 days later in a simple office downtown. No drama, no judgment. Tell me what you suspect, he said calmly. Rachel folded her hands. I don't suspect feelings. I suspect spending. He nodded. She slid printed credit card statements across the desk. Company cards, she said. Hotels, fine dining, travel, dates that don't match up with the scripts. Michael adjusted his glasses. And you believe company funds were used? I believe, Rachel said softly, that jokes are often expensive. Meanwhile, across town, Ethan sat in his quiet apartment. He had moved out temporarily, not angrily, just peacefully. Olivia came by that evening. She looked tired, no makeup, no sharp confidence. I ended it, she said as soon as he opened that door. Ethan nodded slowly. Did you? Yes. Because you love me? She hesitated. Or because you are scared? She had no answer. Inside, memories lived in every corner. The couch where they had curled up during storms, the kitchen where they had danced barefoot. Olivia stepped closer. I still want us, she whispered. Ethan looked at her with gentle sadness. I want the version of us that didn't lie. Her hand touched his chest. I miss you. He swallowed. The attraction was still there, the history, the intimacy. It doesn't disappear overnight. He leaned down and kissed her softly. The kiss held memory, comfort, but something was missing. Trust. He pulled back. I can't hold you while you're still holding secrets, he said quietly. Across the city, Michael Barrett called Rachel. I found something, he said. She sat straighter. Tell me. Several hotel charges were placed on Turner Holdings corporate cards. Same dates your husband claimed to be on solo business trips. Rachel closed her eyes briefly. There's more, Michael added. Funds were transferred from a shared business account to cover these expenses. That's misappropriation. Rachel's voice remained steady. Is it legal? Yes. She whispered. Good. At home that night, Grant poured himself a whiskey. Rachel stood in the doorway. How was work? She asked casually. Busy. She stepped closer. Busy enough to expense romance? Grant froze. What? She tilted her head slightly. Just a joke. He forced a laugh. You're starting to sound like Ethan. Rachel smiled gently. No, Ethan was emotional. She stepped closer. I'm being practical. Grant looked uncomfortable now. You're overthinking. Am I? She walked past him toward the stairs. Sleep well, she said softly. Grant didn't, because deep down he knew something was moving beneath him, and it wasn't love, it was consequence. The charity gala was announced 2 weeks later. Turner's Holdings annual event, investors, board members, press. Grant loved the spotlight. Olivia avoided it. Ethan declined the invitation. Rachel accepted. Grant noticed her calm behavior but mistook it for forgiveness. You've been quiet, he said one evening. Rachel smiled. Quiet doesn't mean unaware. He laughed lightly. You're mysterious lately. She stepped close, adjusting his tie. Men often think misery is romance, she said softly. Sometimes it's strategy. He kissed her forehead, dismissing the tone. Meanwhile, Ethan began rebuilding. He joined the gym, started meeting old friends. He slept better, ate better. He missed Olivia, but he missed himself more. One evening, Olivia showed up again. I told him it's over. She insisted. Ethan nodded. I believe you. Then why are you still distant? He looked at her carefully. Because when something breaks quietly, it still breaks. Tears slipped down her face. I was lonely, she whispered. Ethan's voice softened. You had me, but you were busy. Work, stress. He smiled faintly. So you found someone with more free time? She looked ashamed. He stepped back gently. I'm not angry anymore, he said. That's what scares me. Because anger means attachment, calms mean acceptance. The night of gala arrived, crystal lights, soft music, flashing cameras. Grant stood confident in a tailored suit. Rachel wore deep emerald green, calm, beautiful, controlled. Olivia attended quietly, eyes lowered. Halfway through the evening, Rachel requested the microphone. Just a short thank you, she said gracefully. Grant smiled proudly. She walked to the stage. Behind her, a screen lit up. At Turner's Holdings, Rachel began. We value transparency. Grant's smile stiffened slightly, especially financial transparency. The screen changed. Hotel receipts, dates, amounts, corporate card numbers. The room fell silent. Grant stepped forward. Rachel. She held up her hand gently. These charges were made during supposed business travel, she said clearly. However, they were personal. The screen changed again. Bank transfers, misuse of company funds, board members shifted in their assets. This is not about romance, Rachel continued calmly. She looked at Grant. This is about fraud. Gasps filled the room. Grant's face drained of color. It's not what it looks like, he stammered. Rachel tilted her head slightly. Interesting, she said softly. That line sounds familiar. The joke was gone, and for the first time, Grant understood this was never about jealousy. It was about accountability. Board members immediately requested a private meeting. Grant tried to laugh it off. Just accounting errors, he said weakly. Rachel stood tall. No, she replied. Intent. Olivia sat frozen. Ethan watched the live stream clip later online, not smiling, not celebrating, just observing. By midnight, Grant was escorted out. An internal investigation was launched. The company released a statement the next morning, pending legal review. Grant called Rachel repeatedly. She didn't answer. When he finally reached her, his voice was desperate. You ruined me. Rachel's reply was calm. No, I revealed you. He shouted, This is because of her? The affair? Rachel paused. No, the affair showed me who you are. The fraud proved it. He hung up. Days later, official charges were filed: corporate fraud, misuse of funds. Grant Turner was no longer the confident man at the dinner table. He was a headline, and jokes don't laugh in the court. Olivia met Ethan one final time. I never thought it would go this far, she whispered. Ethan looked peaceful. Neither did he. She wiped tears from her face. Do you hate me? He shook his head slowly. No, that hurt more. I loved you, he said gently, but love without respect becomes self harm. She broke down. I lost everything. Ethan's voice remained soft. No, you made choices. Rachel filed for divorce quietly. She didn't shout, didn't blame. She simply moved forward. Grant faced trial, reputation destroyed, career gone. The man who once joked at dinner now avoided eye contact in court. Months later, Ethan stood alone by the ocean, wind moving through his hair, phone silent, heart steady. He had not taken revenge, he had not fought loudly, he had stepped aside, and the truth had done the rest. He whispered into the wind, Some betrayals break you, others free you. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, Ethan finally felt something he hadn't in months: peace. Because sometimes the strongest revenge is living well while the truth speaks for you. In the end, it wasn't anger that won, it was accountability. If this story touched your heart, consider subscribing, please.